The other day I had a play date with the Gelli plate and a bunch of my stencils. And I ended up with all these tags and beautiful papers. So I decided I wanted to stencil images of doors and windows on one of the Gelli prints. So I squeezed out some black fluid acrylic paint on my palette, and using a cosmetic sponge, I'm just pouncing up and down on the stencil. Now this stencil has very, very thin, fine openings. So it's very important not to load up your cosmetic sponge or whatever you're using to apply the paint with too much paint. So you really want to dab off probably more paint than you leave on. Well, I cut out the door that I was going to use, and then I looked back at my tags again and actually selected some tags that I had made in a Get Tagged art party at my home studio. And I'm just auditioning the door on the tags, and then I decided that I wanted to lighten up the door a little bit. So I'm taking my skinny rigger brush, R-I-G-G-E-R, and adding some white highlights to the door. And you can see I'm being very loose. I'm actually going back and doing that on all the doors and windows that I stenciled. I like to be very loose when I add these outlines to whatever I've stenciled, because I feel that that is part of what gives it an individual look that's unique to my hand and the way I paint, as opposed to just having it be straight out of the stencil, so to speak. So now I'm arranging it, and at first I glue the door down smack in the middle of my tag, but then I remember something Cindy Wunsch once said to me about putting your images off center, that it makes it a lot more interesting, and she's absolutely right about that. So I added some blue deli paper that was also from the Stencil Girl Gelli plate play date. I'm outlining my images, again being very loose with my brush, and then I'll add with my finger some black outline, just to the edges of the card, the way I do with my artwork. I feel like it just grounds your piece a little bit and keeps the eye focused and doesn't let the eye wander off the tag or your art journal page, whatever it may be. The moon is an embellishment I made in an online class with Judy Shea. Just painting over it with glazing medium to give it some sheen and shine. And here's the finished tag. Of course, I had lots of scraps and strips of Gelli printed paper left over. So I decided to collage them onto a plain piece of deli paper. And what I did was I just took all of these scraps and strips and little bits and pieces, and I started gluing them down. I was inspired by an art journal page by, I think her name is Kalinka. I'll put the link in my blog post about this project. In her art journal, all the strips were parallel to one another, but as so often happens when you're inspired by someone else's work and then start working on your own imagination, your muse takes you in another direction. So your piece is inspired by, but it is different and unique to you. So I decided to actually start overlapping these pieces to make some of them perpendicular to one another until it started looking a little bit like a weave, like a basket weave. But of course it's not truly that, because the strips are not going in and out of one another. But here it is, all done, and I started adding little squares here and there, and so it has the illusion of a weave. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this, but for now I'm just really enjoying looking at it with all of the color. Thanks for watching this video. I'd so appreciate it if you would share the video and visit me at jessicasporn.blogspot.com.